Elizabeth Chappell, a lifelong entrepreneur who finally found my niche. After years of new ideas and jumping from business to business, I figured out how to turn a craft into a successful career. In 2016, I started a monthly subscription box for quilters. That little startup has grown into a thriving, multiple six-figure business that I am so proud of. As a published author, designer of fabrics and patterns being sold throughout the world, my favorite thing to do is to teach others how to grow a career of their dreams. Each week, you'll hear from me or from other guests who are creative entrepreneurs, so you can learn exactly what to do and what not to do to grow a career that's more rewarding and successful than you ever thought possible. If you're ready to turn your craft into a career that you love, I am so excited you're here. Welcome to the Craft to Career podcast. Today, I'm diving into some of the most common questions that I get. Now, this has come up, it's top of mind because I am just starting a mentorship program. It's the first time I've offered this. And I've talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but I sent an email out to my audience and I'm very excited about it. We're getting started soon. But I did have a few people reach out after the application window closed, and they shared their specific scenario and said, hey, if possible, could I join? Could I still join? And sadly, that didn't work for them because, the application process had already closed and the mentorship people had been chosen. So there's that. And then I also have a friend just out in the wild, in the real world. Not that this isn't the real world, but in real life, I know them face to face and see them, in my normal life. And this friend has a full-time job, but they want to quit. And I believe they have a master's or a PhD. They're very successful, but they have this creative passion and they want to start a career. And so I'll share a little bit about that. But she was just talking to me about, I said, what do you want to do? What would you want to sell? Because I would love to mentor her, to have that experience that's very different from anything I've ever done before. And she has so much passion and so many ideas. And so chatting with her, that excited me, but also it brought me back to, okay, we really need to focus, and we'll dive into that. But hearing her talk about her just deep, deep passion for these things that she wants to offer the world and teach the world and the different avenues, I'd like to do this and this and this. And then also hearing from these people who wanted to join the mentorship program and reading their emails and hearing their questions, I realized that there's kind of the same things, same topics, same questions that are being asked, just formed a little differently. And so I'm going to address their questions, and I know that it is going to help you, you listeners. And these are things that I've talked about here and there in a different sort of way. So just know, though, the same kinds of things come up over and over again. I've heard this with other mentors before. They're like, you're going to answer the same kinds of things. And so if you've heard this before, I promise there's going to be information here that you will find helpful. And before I dive in and start talking about, okay, what do we do? I'm very excited to share that I'm getting close to 300 reviews for the podcast. If you can leave a podcast review, that would mean the world to me. I'm also currently in the process of reaching out to amazing people to be guests on the podcast, and your review will help them want to be a guest on the podcast. So take just a moment and leave a review, and hopefully soon we'll be up to 300 reviews for the podcast. So now let's talk about what do you do? The certain situation that I was seeing, this person said, I've had some great things happen. I've been published in a magazine. I'm writing patterns. I'm selling on Etsy a certain product. So all good things. There's forward progress there. However, the problem that I'm seeing is, what is your main product? So are you wanting to be published in magazines? Are you wanting to create a finished product, like in our industry, a quilt pattern or, a mini quilt, whatever, a finished product to sell? Or are you wanting to sell and write patterns? like digital or paper patterns. So there's 3 different areas of revenue happening in this particular scenario. And the thing that happens so often is, especially when you're starting, I won't even say especially, it happens throughout, any career. You see people earning money doing something. And so you're like, oh, well, I need to be earning more because I'm not earning a whole lot. So I'll go try that. So for example, the magazines, I'll go pitch to a magazine and you get paid. So great. Okay. But then it's not quite enough. So, well, I better go grow on Etsy and sell on Etsy. Side note, selling on Etsy is its own entity. And to really be successful on Etsy, there's time, commitment, and learning that goes into that. So yes, it is a revenue stream. But if you want to do it well, you've really got to commit to that. And then there's writing and selling patterns, which in and of itself takes a lot of time and energy to really be successful. Now, if you're trying and dabbling in all 3, you're not going to get a lot of traction there, especially when you're just starting. So I would pick one of those. What is your main product that you want to sell? And I'd get really clear on the focus, the main product that you want to sell and the problem that you want to solve. But the amount of time that I have been putting into my patterns is disproportionate to what I'm getting paid back. So I had to really have a moment for myself, just because I'm here telling you as if I have arrived and I figured out how to only have the one product. I'm speaking from someone who has walked this path. Like, it takes one to know one. I will still continue to write and sell quilt patterns, but the rate at which I invest my time and money in quilt patterns is going to look a lot less. Now, I'm very excited to be sharing what I am going to be focusing on and doing more of. I'm not ready to share about it quite yet, but I will be soon. So stay tuned for that coming up in a future podcast. But yeah, so really do step back and evaluate. Okay, where am I putting my time and my energy? Is that my greatest use of my time and energy? Am I getting paid well for that? And if not, either you can, like I said, with quilt patterns, if you're writing quilt patterns and you're not getting a lot of money with it, you can. You just have to really be intentional about your marketing and all of that. Or you might be like, nah, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to sell courses on how to make this quilt instead, or whatever it might be. So that's the one thing, is evaluate that you're doing one main product, you're selling one main product, that you're answering a question, and pause periodically. Pause to evaluate. Hold on, where am I spending my time? Is it on that one thing? And then also pause and make sure that you're not just being busy for busyness sake. That email that I referenced where they're getting published in a magazine and selling on Etsy and writing patterns, it's very, very easy to see like, well, I'm getting paid for that, so I'll do that. But that's a short term, like the magazine. And again, I've already talked about it in this episode. There is a place for that. I'm not saying nobody should ever write in a magazine. But really evaluate your scenario and your business and what is the best use of your time. And then choose one area to focus on. So are you going to sell on Etsy? If so, then go all in. Forget the magazines, forget, growing on social or whatever. Go all in on Etsy. Become a #1 seller on Etsy. I don't know enough about that to speak on it, but that's a thing in and of itself. Are you going to go all in on the magazines? Are you going to go all in on writing patterns? Are you going to go all in on selling the finished product? Whatever it is, dedicate yourself, commit, go all in on that one thing. So at this point, you've taken the time to evaluate what you're going to sell. You've looked at how to make that lucrative. And it might be confusing, like, well, I don't know how to make it lucrative. If I did know, then I'd be doing it. Well, hopefully the things I've talked about today help with that. But selling a finished product for quilters, that's going to be really hard to make it lucrative. You want to look at how you can, you could sell quilt patterns, but just know that's going to take time to grow an audience and to get traction. You're going to want to be very unique. You're going to want to solve a problem. Whatever it is, just really think, how can I stand out? How can I solve a problem? And then you need to grow your audience. And I've talked about this before too. I know people are like, oh, this is the worst part. It is. It's so much easier to just sit in your sewing room and create a pattern and sew it. But to go out and market it, that's the tricky part. If that were easy, well, so many more people would be having a ton of success with it. So I want to talk specifically right now about Instagram and how to have more success on Instagram. Now, that's not the only platform. You could go with YouTube. You could go with a podcast. You could go with LinkedIn. There's, different venues, Etsy, like I said. But I am familiar with Instagram, and that's where I have had success. And that's how I have grown my business and my sales. And it has been successful for me. So I'm going to share some things that have worked for me. And I know there's a lot of frustration around social media. And I get it. It's not a platform that we own. They can change the rules, and they do at any given time. But no matter what platform you choose, you're not playing in your house. You're playing in their house by their rules. And at some level, you've got to learn how to play by their rules to have success. And so if you can do yourself a favor by ditching the thought of like, ugh, this is the worst, I hate it, it's not going to work, because that mindset is not serving you, you can have success. It is available to anyone and everyone. And Instagram's not playing favorites. Instagram wants to be a successful platform. They're just looking for good content that catches people's attention. That's it. So your job then is to create content that catches people's attention. So let's talk about it. First of all, when you are creating on Instagram, there is the art of the hook. A hook is capturing people's attention right away. Now, the attention on social media is very short. Very short. We're talking 1 to 2 seconds that you have to capture someone's attention. And if you don't capture their attention in those first couple of seconds, they are scrolling on. And Instagram will see, this post or this reel isn't capturing people's attention. We're going to kind of hide that. We're not going to show that. Now, if you do capture people's attention, Instagram, the algorithm, I call it, they can tell how long someone pauses to look at that reel or that post. If it's longer than 2 seconds, ding, 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 you've captured people's attention. So there is an art of capturing attention in those 1 to 2 seconds. And, I like to think about if you enjoy watching TV shows or reading a book. Across the board, our attention spans have gotten shorter, but it's a little bit more for a book or for a TV show. But my husband and I like to watch a good TV show at night. And we've gotten to the point where in the first 10 to 15 minutes, if it hasn't captured our attention, sometimes if we've heard really good things about a show, we'll give it an entire episode. But that is very generous. Generally, it's like 15 minutes. And if they have not captured our attention, we're done. We're out. And a book, I don't know. I don't even know how long I'd give it. I'd have to think, but it's not long. I can tell in the first little bit if I'm going to stick with it or not. So we have that same job, if you will, to capture people's attention. And I will say, I feel like my ADHD brain serves me well here because I do get bored easily. I can just kind of look at something and ask myself, would this bore me? And if it does, I'm like, nah, okay, do something else. Now, but if that doesn't work for you, let me share some tangible tips to help your content be a little more sticky. And by sticky, I mean people will stick around and watch it. So make your video, I'll talk about reels right now. Make your reels as short as possible. Cut out, and I use CapCut, although Instagram's about to release their own video editing app, which I will definitely be using. I don't know, I could be wrong. Again, they're going to want to promote the most interesting content, but I think they will maybe at first, especially reward people who use their video editing. Don't go by that or post about it. That's just my own, what I think. So use a video editing tool like CapCut or Instagram editor software and record your video, put it in there and go in and snip out anything where there's a pause or where something's just a little bit dull. And when I cut down my videos, they're usually into 1 or 1.4 second snippets. 1.4 is probably my longest. If I have a snippet over 1.4 seconds, I will edit it down to be about 1.4 seconds. Unless I'm talking to the camera, like face to face, But even then, I will go in and cut out pauses or anything like that, because our attention is so short. And you may not notice it, but when you're watching videos that are really good and capturing your attention, they're editing out all of the filler. Like there's none of that. So cut it down, cut out all the pauses. And then you need a hook, a really good hook at the beginning of your reel. You're going to show something that's either weird or say something that makes people feel an emotion. Whether it's like, huh? No. What? You want them to feel something immediately. Like recently I did this. I would never quilt without this. That is very bold and it's intentional. It's not like, here's something that I love. That does not capture the same emotion. Here's something I love as I would never quilt without this. I hope you can even hear in what I'm speaking the difference in those. I would never quilt without this. It's almost like dramatic and like, wow, what the heck is such a big deal that she would never quilt without it? Like you want to evoke emotions. And I will say, I don't want you to be posting like, wait until the end or watch until the end. I actually scroll past, and a lot of people are now like, don't tell me to wait till the end. Do your job to make me want to stay to the end. So instead of like saying, wait to the end, do something where it captures my attention that I'm like, wait, what? I've got to wait to see what's going on here. And same with, starting something off with, hey guys, or hey friends, cut that out. You would edit that out and just jump right in to what you're saying. So instead of, hey guys, today I was at the mall and I saw this, I would just jump into, instead of that, I would say, you will not believe what I saw today. So do you notice the difference? Hey guys, today while I was at the mall, I saw something. That's boring. That's conversational. If you're on a phone with a friend, that's okay. But for a reel, you've got to capture attention. When I first started offering online courses and a membership, I needed a platform that could do it all without giving me a tech headache. That is why I chose Kajabi. I have been blown away by everything it can do. With Kajabi, I run my courses, a membership, email marketing, all in one place. You can even build a website with a blog and sell digital products, host webinars and coaching calls, and even set up an affiliate program, all without needing a dozen different tools. And the best part, it's powerful yet easy to use. I love it so much that I even created a free course to show you how to get started with Kajabi. Access my free course on how to use Kajabi and try Kajabi for free by visiting bit.ly/QC Kajabi, or visit the show notes for the link. If you're ready to streamline your business and enjoy the process, give Kajabi a try. You are going to love it. A little thing to think about. Sometimes people get a little wordy or a little pausey, when they're starting. I've already talked about cutting out the pauses and the ums, ahs, and just silence. But we also want to work on saying something as succinct and short as possible. So instead of like, if I were to start today, take out if I were, and just say, if I started today. So again, you want to make everything as short as possible. Quick, short, to the point. And then you want to show different things. In the quilting industry, a lot of people showcase. They'll show a finished product, a beautiful thing, and that's great. There is a place for that. But you also want to get people to laugh. Some kind of like, and now some people look at my content. I have had a friend before who's like, Elizabeth, I'm not going to make content like yours. Like I joke in a way that she's not comfortable joking. That's not her style. You can have humor that looks different from mine. I highly recommend going and looking at different reels that are going viral. If you're like, how on earth do you do that? click on the little reel icon. Right now, this is working. Now Instagram may change, but for now you can go and click on the reel icon at the bottom of your Instagram, and it will bring up different reels that are popular. And you can just scroll through them and they will show you popular reels and save them. Look at the ones that are funny in your style of humor and like them, save them. Instagram will keep tally of that and they will continue to show you more that are like that. So we want to make people laugh. You want to showcase. You want to help people feel something, whether it's like disagreement with something or shock value or wow factor. You also want to educate. So with quilting, you could show the process of making something. Now, again, this is going to be quick and fast, and you will get comments from people who are like, this is too fast. I couldn't follow. Don't listen to that. Don't let that move your hand, because you want it to be quick and short. You want it to be where people watch it over and over again. Like, wait, what happened there? Let me watch that again. And for the one person who says it was too quick, I couldn't see it, there are 10 who loved it and watched it and are motivated. So let's say you have a new quilt pattern coming out. Show the process of cutting the fabric, sewing it together, quilting the top, binding it, and each little section should be 1.4 seconds. So sewing it, cutting the fabric, ironing, whatever, it's all 1.4 seconds in chronological order of making that quilt. And you also want to leave people curious. So I would not start out by showcasing the finished product. You want them to be like, wait, what is this going to look like at the end? But if you start by showing them what it looks like, they've already got that satisfaction. It's already been satiated. So leave them wanting to know, what is this? I did the 1981 reverse applique sweatshirt where I did my birth year. And I started off by wearing a sweatshirt, holding up these numbers on paper and showing the process of, and that one I think went viral because it's so weird to see cutting this sweatshirt and there's fabric underneath and it just looks like, oh my gosh, she's ruining that sweatshirt. Wait, what? Oh, that looks really cool. So it's just such a weird, and I noticed with other quilters too, the reels that do really well for a lot of quilters are the tutorials where you're watching, man, how are they doing that? How'd they sew that zipper on? Whoa, you flip that around and all of a sudden that looks amazing. It's a bit of satisfaction of watching something come to be. And then people are like, man, I've got to make that. How do I get that? And you can either, give them as a freebie and collect their email or sell the product. So again, you want to make your reels so interesting that people naturally want to stick around and watch so that they are going to feel something. And making that educational video I talked about, that's a lot of work. We're not always creating. So don't worry, you don't have to be. You can also just do what's called B-roll, B as in boy, B-roll. That's where you put your phone out, set it on a tripod or just even on your counter, hit record and record yourself sewing, cutting fabric, ironing, cleaning, organizing. I cannot tell you how much I'm so grateful that I've been doing that for about a year, because now I have so much B-roll on my phone that I just use that. Like I use footage from over a year ago to create reels for this upcoming week. I've created, 4 reels for the upcoming week that are all scheduled to go out. I'm going to be out of town and everything is scheduled to be posted. And it's from footage that was about a year ago. And because I have so much B-roll, because I've been recording myself like from different angles, here's my hands cutting fabric. Just the annoying thing about that is to actually record yourself. Like sometimes I'm like, I just want to sew without putting my camera up. But you won't regret just hitting record and putting your phone up and having that video footage. So don't feel like you have to always be creating something new. No, like I said, I'm kind of pausing a little bit and stepping back from writing a bunch of new patterns, but I have so much footage of me creating because for the last year and a half, I've recorded when I've made most things, that now I have all this content that I can pull from. And again, 1.4 second snippets, just 1.4 seconds, add it all together. And with B-roll, you can put any kind of words on it. I'm trying to think of one like, I wish people knew that quilting, this is a reel that I posted recently. It's just different B-roll of me quilting. I said, I wish people knew that quilting was not a dying art, isn't a dying art. You don't want to say was not. That's a little too, make it a little more direct. I wish people knew quilting isn't dying. Young people are quilting. I'm making bold statements that are going to evoke some emotion. And I just have video of me sitting there sewing, and another video coming out this week, which will be out by the time you hear this, but it's like things I wish I'd done today. And I'd recorded myself working out, cooking dinner, doing laundry, and then what I actually got done today. And it shows me sitting at the sewing machine. So that's a laugh one. That's one that people can humor, like, oh, I get that. So just record yourself doing your thing, whenever you're creating or sewing or even doing laundry or whatever, just record yourself. And then be a student. Watch Instagram as a business owner, not as a passive consumer, but look at the reels that are going viral and save them and copy their style. Notice how short their little snippets of video are. Notice what they're talking about, the words that they're using, and repeat that. Use, your own content, but use their ideas in that way. And then lastly, with growing an audience on Instagram, just set an amount of time that you can consistently post. If it's once a week, then choose once a week, but stick to it. You can make a bunch of content all at once and schedule it ahead of time, but just commit to yourself. Keep that promise to yourself. That's part of success, is knowing that you can trust yourself, knowing that you can set a goal and stick with it. And then look what's doing well. Look at the reels that are resonating. And, sometimes we don't want to really look at that, but we've got to kind of keep tally on what's doing well. Read the comments, see what's resonating, and then repeat. And even down the road, you can publish that video again. So it doesn't always have to be creating new stuff all the time. So these are the key things that I wanted to talk about, as I have been having some questions kind of trickle in about business and people feeling stagnant with their business or feeling like, I just don't know how to get to the next level. So again, just to recap, you want to really choose one product to sell and figure out what kind of problem you're solving with that product, because that's really going to help you sell the product by telling people, you've got this problem here, my product will solve that for you. And then grow your audience. Really focus on growing your audience. And then lastly, you want to grow an audience on Instagram is fine, for your own vanity, but you need to be able to sell to that audience. And so you want to bring them off of Instagram into email marketing. I use Flowdesk and I love it. In fact, if you want to try it out, you can use code QuiltersCandy and you'll save 50% off of your entire first year. But whatever email marketing platform you use, you want to have one. It's different than, let's say, Gmail. Like email marketing, you can actually create a form where people can enter their email address, and then you can send them a PDF or your freebie or your pattern, and it's automatically set up so you don't have to do it in real time. You create it once, it sits there. Even while you're sleeping, you are collecting email addresses. And then when you are ready to send out an email, you can send out an email and you can go and look at the analytics and see who opened it, who clicked on the links, who unsubscribed. It is a necessity for business to have an email marketing platform. So whichever one you go with, pick one of those. And yeah, this is enough to focus on to really narrow down what you're going to sell, grow an audience, and then market to them. Email, create a friendship, and correspond with them. If you have questions, this podcast is here to help you with your business and to grow your business. So if you have questions, send me an email at hello@quilterscandy.com and let me know what things you want to hear more about. What would help your business to grow? What things are you struggling with? I'm here for you. I want to help you grow your business. So ask your questions. And again, if you have not left a review for the podcast, please take a minute just to go and do that. Thank you so much for being here on the Craft to Career podcast. I love sharing about, just the foundational building blocks of a business and what's going to help your business grow. So again, if you have anything you want to hear about, please reach out and let me know. And I will see you next time on the Craft to Career podcast.